tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yes, hello friends, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, of course, the daily series here on Football Therapy where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea across the world of football media, giving you my opinion on it, more importantly asking for yours. Today we are discussing strikers again, defenders again, and Conor Gallagher again. Fabrizio Romano has given an update on Conor Gallagher, his place at Chelsea, what the manager thinks, what the player thinks. Are Tottenham really interested? We're going to give it all to you today. And indeed, how other clubs feel about the Chelsea project from outside looking in. Of course, underperforming on the pitch, but are Chelsea actually doing smart business? So there's lots to get into today. Do consider supporting the content by dropping a like and subscribing. If you are a new subscriber, you are most welcome to Football Therapy. Hop aboard and hit the notifications icon if you choose to subscribe. All right then, let's get into it. Right, before we talk about Conor Gallagher and the Chelsea project, let's talk about some transfers with an update from Nizar Kinsella from the Evening Standard, who's spoken about centre-backs and strikers. So let's hop into that article now. Chelsea prioritised striker in January transfer market after turning down battle over Tottenham target. Victor Osimhen and Ivan Toney remain among targets for the Blues, but we won't rush into splashing the cash this month. Sounds like a change. Chelsea have made a new striker their transfer priority in January, with a move for Nice defender Jean-Claire Todibo deemed unlikely. The Blues sounded out Tottenham target Todibo last month as they weighed up centre-back options. But Chelsea have held no formal talks with the 24-year-old France international, and a move for a new centre-back is seen as a lower priority this month. Chelsea, who also explored a move for Sporting CP centre-back Ousmane Diomande, are expecting a quiet January window. Yeah, this is really interesting. Of course, we spoke about Todibo just yesterday in yesterday's video, certain articles, certain headlines and publications linking him to Chelsea. But I expressed my concern in that video about why would we buy this type of defender when we've got Disasi, Wesley Fofana on that side. And although Chelsea do want a centre-back, and who knows, maybe still will buy one in this January transfer window, there's always some conflicting reports. It does look like that isn't a priority. And for my money, and my opinion as a Chelsea fan, that's probably a good thing. A new forward is their main focus, but they are keen to evaluate returning forward players Armando Broja and Christopher Nkunku, who have been slowly reintroduced after knee injuries. Both Broja and Nkunku are expected to get more action when Nicholas Jackson joins up with Senegal for the African Cup of Nations. Mauricio Pochettino is keen to see how Broja and Nkunku perform in the coming weeks, and he is happy with Jackson. Jackson has faced criticism for his displays this season, but senior Chelsea staff believe he has faced added pressure because the team has not scored enough goals. Napoli's Victor Osimhen and Brentford's Ivan Toney are two forwards to have been considered by Chelsea, but are both deemed expensive and difficult to sign this month. After Osimhen renewed his Napoli contract last month, he will not be available for anything less than his £112 million release clause. Brentford are increasingly reluctant to sell Toney amid concern they could be dragged into a relegation battle as they battle an injury crisis. Chelsea transfer chiefs admire Club Brugge winger Antonio Nusa, and the Blues had a £23 million summer deadline day bid rejected for the 18-year-old, but Nusa is not considered the right profile of player Chelsea need right now. Yeah, indeed. He's an 18-year-old sort of tricky winger, I guess, or a wide forward. Chelsea need seniority, a centre forward, and most importantly, goals. Interest in Sporting striker Victor Gyökeres has cooled after he told his Portuguese club that he would stay until the end of the season to help them fight for the title. Chelsea need to sell players to help fund transfer business, with Ian Maatsen one player who could leave amid talks with Borussia Dortmund. Maatsen is in the final 18 months of his contract and has plenty of interest, though few clubs are willing to match the £31.5 million bid Chelsea accepted from Burnley in the summer. summer. Trevoh Chalobah's hamstring injury is putting clubs off signing him, and Conor Gallagher is expected to turn down any move away, given him currently being captain in the absence of Reece James and Ben Chilwell. Very, very interesting indeed. So off the bat, obviously we will watch the stories of outgoings, like Nizar Kinsella wrote there in the Standard. Trevoh Chalobah is probably going to be sold, although he hasn't really had a chance to prove himself to Pochettino for a long ongoing hamstring injury. Ian Maatsen does seem like he will be sold because we had a bid accepted for him. He basically wanted to stay. Pochettino gave him a chance, and sort of Pochettino, even though he uses him sometimes, he's kind of not overly keen on him. It just seems like Maatsen will get sold. So you'd think of those two, and we'll speak about Conor Gallagher in just one moment, but essentially this transfer story is reiterating the fact that we do really want a striker, but where is this striker going to come from? I mean, how many options are there out there? And if Chelsea aren't willing to pay the silly money for Osimhen or Tony this January, who, by the way, for two different aforementioned reasons, might not even be able to leave in January, it leaves Chelsea in a bit of a pinch. It's actually really, really compelling and interesting to see where we go from here, because Matt Law of the Telegraph, and indeed other journalists like Fabrizio Romano, had said Chelsea will do business this January. Maybe not as crazy as last January, which of course was record breaking, but we will do business, and there's already been meetings between the Chelsea owners and directors about what they're going to do. So it's kind of like exciting in a way, because it's not some obvious long transfer sagas that are really, really like drawn out and we all know what's going to happen. I think some really exciting stuff will come out of left field and catch us by the surprise. And although we just want to see our team play football and win football matches, this stuff can be exciting as well, and I'm certainly looking forward to what happens in the upcoming days in the window. And if you want to be the first to know, make sure you are subscribed to this channel, Football Therapy. But let's move on and talk about Conor Gallagher. So multiple journalists are speaking about Conor Gallagher. Of course, he's made massive headlines, stand-in captain for Chelsea, currently playing well. He's got dominating stats across Europe's top 5 leagues, and he's doing really, really well, and understandably lots of clubs want him. Chelsea have been considering a sale due to him representing pure profit on the books and being a valuable asset, and thinking maybe they can rebuild the midfield in a different profile. But the Chelsea manager Mauricio Pochettino really wants to keep him. And journalist, superstar, transfer guru Fabrizio Romano has confirmed as much. He says, look, there's talks all the time. And when Pochettino speaks to the Chelsea sporting directors, of course, Winstanley and Stewart, which he speaks to often, he's always reiterating the importance of Conor Gallagher in his Chelsea side. Now, this is super interesting. Many of us thought this would be the situation with Pochettino and Mason Mount, how Mason Mount would be the perfect Pochettino player, and surely Pochettino would step in and, reiterate his authority and wanting to keep Mason Mount. But the sporting directors kind of made the decision before. But I feel like it's different because we've seen 6 months of Pochettino, or how many months of Pochettino at Chelsea, and we've seen like how he wants to play largely and what works. And in terms of what works or who's been consistent, whether it's been injury, like no injuries, and let's be honest, a massive problem for Chelsea this season has been injury. So to have a player that's just never injured is massive, and to consistently, put out good numbers, Pochettino makes a very strong case to these footballing directors and say, look, this is my guy. This is not me just walking through the building and you selling Mason Mount before I get a chance to speak to him. This is a guy that I've used for months, who I've given the armband, by the way. And he represents some positivity in what has been a very turbulent and difficult season. Across different football media, there's suggestions that Conor Gallagher will turn down any moves away from Chelsea. We've spoken about it before here on the channel, of course. Not only will he be happy as a professional footballer that he's doing his job well, but of course he is a Chelsea fan. To be wearing the armband's a massive, accomplishment for him. He's got his family members on social media, really proud, posting about him wearing the armband. It's kind of like a dream come true in many ways, especially in mid-season, while it's going so well, while he's got the momentum, while, for example, the England manager Gareth Southgate always calls him up, and if anything, as time goes on and Gallagher continues to just always start for Chelsea, always captain Chelsea, and his stats get better and better and better. I'm not suggesting he'll be a starter for England, but he's going to solidify that place for the Euros in Germany. Why would he want to jeopardise that with a January move? Everyone is suggesting at this point he will not be sold in January, and we'll have to look beyond that. So the thing is with Chelsea, the owners, the plan was if they get to 2 years and don't extend, because say they're like under 30 or whatever, or under 28, they're sold. That was the structure, that was the plan. So Mutson, the fact how he's on 18 months, is already gone against that rule, and of course Conor Gallagher. Mutson may well be sold this month, but Conor Gallagher is proving to be an exception. And of course, he could still extend his contract and sign a new deal with Chelsea. That's what ultimately he wants, and really, probably, that's what Chelsea want. Although as a business, they see an amazing opportunity here to sell this guy and boost up the finances and buy a striker for lots of money and use the pure profit angle and amortization, yada yada yada. Ultimately, they see an asset who cares about the institution, wearing the armband, is a professional, applies himself well, and their manager, who's their guy, you know, who they hired and interviewed for months or however long it was, he loves him. So they will want Conor Gallagher to extend. That will be the ultimate goal, but they'll want it to be on their terms, on a limited wage budget, on an 8-year deal probably, because Conor Howard's kind of 23, so they probably, they'd want him to sign a 7 or 8 year deal still, maybe a 7+1. There are rumours that Conor doesn't want to sign a 7 or 8 year deal, much like Mason Mount. I kind of get it, because you're locking down and limiting your career. I kind of understand. But still, let's cross our fingers and hope a compromise can be reached, because I believe it can. And Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that although they are not currently sitting down and negotiating the contract, talks have started up again. It was quiet for a long time, and you know, they're starting to have conversations about a contract extension, which is good. Anyway, let me know what you think down below. Leave your comments on Conor Gallagher. And yes, let's move on. I want to talk about the bigger picture of the Chelsea project. Check out this tweet from Cy Phillips Sport on X. He's citing Ben Jacobs, the CBS reporter who speaks to Simon sometimes, saying this: "Within the industry, all the talk now I hear is Chelsea are moving in the right direction. There is naturally some surprise at their league position, but when I talk to those at rival clubs, most understand what Chelsea are trying to do." Now, this isn't just rival clubs, this is people in different footballing institutions and people work within the game. Of course, if you're a pundit on like TalkSport or Sky or Gary Neville or whatever, it's easy to just slate Chelsea, slag us off. They've spent all this money, they're doing this, they've mid-table for 2 seasons in a row. And yes, by the way, it's all true and it's valid. But ultimately, what the other clubs will do that know how to run football clubs, they'll look a little bit closer at Chelsea. A Chelsea, by the way, that was making constant and consistent losses for years and years and years. That was erratic, it was an emotional club, which was good for us fans for a long time, because we won titles, even if, like, you know, superstars managers were sacked probably at the wrong times. But it worked for a long time, even if it was chaotic. Rival clubs are looking in, and they've probably closely looked at the books and how Chelsea have refined the books with the contracts, with not overpaying for players, with amortization, and also with marketing, with brand deals, with sponsorships and stuff like that. Chelsea are looking to refine the books and essentially structure the club from a more solid foundation. If you look at a club like Manchester United, and you'll probably be thinking, oh, here we go, another chaos club that's in crisis for long term. And that's true, but Manchester United, of course, are the biggest club in the world, but they were really well run in terms of marketing and finance, in terms of developing revenue. Now, United overpay for players and they overpay on contracts and wages. A sickening amount. If you look at what like Sancho is on, and Varane, who weren't even featuring for a long time, and Casemiro, and the length of these deals they give to these guys are often washed and at the end of their careers, it's really dumb. So Chelsea aren't doing that. They're doing the young players, the long contracts, the low wages, which is great. But they are trying to emulate what Manchester United have done in the market in terms of brand deals, sponsorship deals, all the other like fundamental financing and, you know, marketing parts of Chelsea, rebuilding it from the ground up, structurally sound. I've actually wanted that for a long time. I know it's really boring, but I've looked at that. I've said to you guys many times, I wanted a footballing director. When Michael Emenalo left, who by the way was a divisive figure, probably for unfairly, but he was really good for Chelsea. I've been asking to have something like that back for a long time, and we've got it all at once. I know the club's just been performing like a dysfunctional mess on the pitch, and that's what you react to, but hopefully we see some improvements with that, and actually all the stuff underneath will pay long-term dividends, as in like over the decade, not over like the last 18 chaotic months or whatever. So I wanted to talk about that with other clubs looking in at Chelsea and thinking actually what they're doing is smart and we kind of understand the plan here, which I think now and again is important to remind Chelsea fans. I have been of that inclination because this is what I've personally wanted. I've wanted Chelsea, my club that I support, to be built on a solid foundation and not just so much chaos and drama, which, by the way, a lot of it's coming back to haunt us now over these allegations. So I'm pleased with that. But of course, the main thing is winning football matches, and that's paramount, and that's what, you know, fans pay their money to see. So let's hope that follows imminently, and who knows, maybe even winning a trophy this season. So I went off transfers for a little bit there, but I will return in the coming days. Of course, daily uploads here. There will be lots of stories regarding Chelsea Football Club every single day, and I will react to them accordingly. So thank you for joining me. If you do enjoy the content, let me know by liking and telling me in the comments. Like I said, daily content, of course, so if you want to subscribe, you're welcome to, and I hope to see you guys back here very soon. Peace.